When basketball legend Michael Jordan ate dinner alone in his big house, he felt lonelier than ever. His kids were busy with their own lives. His family only called when they needed money. After a scary trip to the doctor, Michael got a terrible idea. What if he pretended to be very sick? Would his family rush to help him, or would they be too busy to care? But Michael's doctor had her own secret plan that would change everything. Would his family ever forgive Michael for lying about being sick? And why was the doctor acting so strange during every visit? Michael Jordan sat in the small waiting room, his large hands gripping the armrests of the uncomfortable chair. The white walls seemed to close in around him as he stared at a poster about heart health. At 61 years old, the man who once flew through the air like magic now felt very ordinary, very human, very scared. His chest had been hurting for 3 days. Sharp pains that made him stop walking and catch his breath. This morning the pain was so bad he couldn't ignore it anymore. So here he was, in Dr. Sophia Martinez's office in downtown Chicago, waiting to find out if his heart was giving up on him. The door opened with a soft click. "Mr. Jordan?" Dr. Martinez stepped in with a warm smile. She was younger than he expected, maybe in her 40s, with kind brown eyes and graying hair pulled back in a neat bun. She carried a manila folder and moved with the calm confidence of someone who delivered both good news and bad news every day. "Please, call me Michael," he said, trying to sound relaxed. But his voice came out rougher than he wanted. Dr. Martinez sat down across from him and opened the folder. Michael could see test results and charts, but the numbers meant nothing to him. All he could do was watch her face for clues. "Well, Michael," she said, looking up with that same reassuring smile, "I have good news for you." Michael felt his shoulders drop with relief. He hadn't realized how tense they'd been. "The chest pains you've been having are caused by stress and too much caffeine. Your heart is actually in excellent shape for someone your age." She flipped through a few pages. "Your blood pressure is a little high, but nothing serious. Have you been drinking more coffee than usual lately?" Michael almost laughed. "I've been drinking about 6 cups a day since I retired. Gets pretty quiet at home." "That would definitely do it," Dr. Martinez said with a chuckle. "Cut back to 2 cups a day, try some light exercise like walking, and maybe find some activities to help with the stress. The loneliness after retirement can be hard on the body." She closed the folder and looked at him thoughtfully. "Though I would like you to come back next week for a follow-up visit, just to make sure everything is settling down properly." "Of course," Michael said, standing up. "Thank you, doctor. You don't know how worried I was." "It's completely normal to be scared," she said, walking him to the door. "Health scares have a way of making us think about what really matters in life." As Michael drove home through the busy Chicago streets, Dr. Martinez's words echoed in his mind. What really matters in life? He thought about his empty house waiting for him, his 3 adult children, all living their own busy lives in different cities, his siblings, who only called when they needed something, his ex-wife, Patricia, who was polite but distant. When was the last time someone had called him just to say hello? When was the last time his kids visited without it being a holiday or special occasion? He couldn't remember. Michael pulled into the long driveway of his mansion in the suburbs. The house was beautiful, 6 bedrooms, a huge kitchen, a game room with his championship trophies displayed on every wall. But as he walked through the front door, all he heard was silence. He made himself a sandwich and sat at the large dining room table that could seat 12 people. Today, like most days, only 1 chair was used. He ate while scrolling through his phone, looking at photos his children posted on social media. Zara at some fancy lawyer party in New York, McCullum performing at a small club in Los Angeles, Elena showing off a painting she'd finished at college. They all looked happy, successful, independent, and completely fine without him. Michael finished his sandwich and wandered into his home office. The walls were covered with pictures from his basketball days, him holding championship trophies, celebrating with teammates, being interviewed by reporters. In every photo, he was surrounded by people, coaches, players, fans, reporters. He was never alone. Now he spent most days by himself, watching old game footage and wondering what to do with the rest of his life. His phone buzzed with a text from his accountant about some investment. Another person who only contacted him about business. Michael set the phone down without responding. He walked to the large window that looked out over his backyard. The swimming pool was perfectly clean and completely unused. The tennis court was empty. The guest house where his kids used to stay during summer visits had been locked up for months. Health scares have a way of making us think about what really matters, Dr. Martinez had said. What if he had been dying today? What if those test results had been different? Would his family have rallied around him with love and support, or would they have been too busy with their own lives to really care? The thought hit him like a punch to the stomach. His own children, would they drop everything to be with their father if he was really sick? Or would they visit once, feel guilty, and then go back to their busy lives while he faced his illness alone? Michael had always prided himself on raising independent, successful children, but maybe he had done too good a job. Maybe they were so independent they didn't need him anymore. He thought about his siblings. Carmen, his younger sister, was a teacher in Denver. They talked maybe once a month. His brothers Luis and Diego lived in Texas and Florida. Luis was friendly, but always busy with his construction business. Diego, well, they hadn't spoken in almost 2 years after a stupid fight about money. Would any of them really be there for him if he needed them? Michael walked back to the living room and sat in his favorite leather chair. He picked up the remote and turned on the TV, but instead of watching, he stared at his reflection in the black screen. He was Michael Jordan, 6-time NBA champion, one of the greatest basketball players who ever lived. He had more money than he could spend in 3 lifetimes. He had fame, respect, and admiration from people all over the world. But sitting alone in his big house, he realized he didn't know if the people closest to him loved him or loved Michael Jordan, the legend. A crazy idea began to form in his mind. What if there was a way to find out? What if he could test whether his family's love was real? What if they thought he was really sick? Michael stood up abruptly, his heart racing, but not from chest pains this time. From an idea that was both brilliant and terrible. Dr. Martinez had said he should come back next week for a follow-up. What if, when he went back, the news wasn't good? What if she found something serious, something that would bring his family running to his side? He walked to his phone and stared at it for a long time. His finger hovered over Zara's number. Could he really do this? Could he lie to the people he loved most just to find out if they loved him back? Michael took a deep breath and made his decision. Tomorrow, he would call Dr. Martinez and ask for her help with the most important test of his life. The test to see who truly cared. Michael barely slept that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he imagined making the phone calls. He practiced the words in his head over and over. I'm sick. Really sick. The lie felt heavy in his chest, but the need to know the truth felt heavier. At 7 in the morning, he called Dr. Martinez's office. Dr. Martinez, speaking, came her familiar voice. Doctor, it's Michael Jordan. I know this might sound strange, but I need to ask you for a favor. There was a pause. What kind of favor, Michael? Michael took a deep breath. I want my family to think I'm seriously ill. I need to know if they really care about me or if they're just too busy with their own lives to notice if something happened to me. Michael, I can't lie to your family about your health. That goes against everything I believe as a doctor. I'm not asking you to lie, Michael said quickly. I just need you to play along if they ask questions. Maybe visit my house a few times so they think you're monitoring my condition. Please, doctor. I've never felt more alone in my life. Dr. Martinez was quiet for a long time. Finally, she sighed. This is a terrible idea, Michael. But I can see you're in pain, not physical pain, but emotional pain. If I help you with this, you have to promise me something. Anything. Promise me that if this gets too complicated or if someone gets hurt, you'll tell them the truth immediately. I promise. And promise me you'll come see me if you need to talk about why you feel so alone. Sometimes we need help understanding our own hearts. Michael felt a lump form in his throat. Thank you, doctor. This means more to me than you know. After he hung up, Michael sat at his kitchen table with a list of phone numbers. His hands were shaking slightly as he reached for his phone. Once he started this, there would be no going back. He decided to call Zara first. His oldest child, 28 years old and sharp as a knife. If anyone would see through his plan, it would be her. The phone rang 3 times before she answered. Hey, Dad. What's up? Zara's voice was distracted. He could hear traffic in the background and knew she was walking to work in New York. Hi, sweetheart. Do you have a few minutes to talk? Actually, can I call you back later? I'm about to go into a meeting with a really important client, and I need to review my notes one more time. Michael's heart sank a little. This was exactly what he was afraid of. Zara, I really need to talk to you now. It's important. Something in his voice must have gotten through to her because the background noise stopped. Dad, are you okay? You sound different. I just got back from the doctor yesterday. The doctor? Why didn't you tell me you weren't feeling well? Michael closed his eyes and hated himself for what he was about to say. I didn't want to worry anyone until I knew for sure. The doctor found something concerning during my tests. The silence on the other end of the phone stretched on forever. Dad, what do you mean concerning? My heart isn't working the way it should. The doctor needs to run more tests, but... Michael's voice cracked, and for a moment, the emotion wasn't fake. It doesn't look good, sweetheart. Zara's sharp intake of breath made Michael's chest hurt with guilt. Oh my God, Dad. How bad is it? I don't know yet. Dr. Martinez wants to monitor me closely over the next few weeks. She's going to start making house calls to check on me. House calls? Dad? That sounds really serious. She said these things can change quickly. I need to take it one day at a time. I'm coming home. Zara's voice was suddenly strong and determined. I'm getting on a plane tonight. No, honey, don't drop everything. Let me call McCullum and Elena first. We'll figure this out as a family. Dad? Are you crazy? Of course I'm dropping everything. You're my father. After promising to call her back with more details, Michael hung up and immediately felt terrible. Zara was probably canceling meetings and rearranging her whole life right now. All because of his lie. But he also felt something else. Something warm and surprising. She had said, of course, like there was no question about putting him first. Maybe his kids did love him more than he thought. Next, he called McCullum in Los Angeles. His 25-year-old son was the artist of the family, always chasing his dream of making it as a musician. McCullum answered on the first ring, but Michael could hear music and voices in the background. Dad! Perfect timing. We're just setting up for a recording session. This could be the break I've been waiting for. Son, I need to talk to you about something serious. Can it wait like 2 hours? The producer is only giving us a small window. McCullum, I'm sick. The background music stopped immediately. What do you mean sick? I mean really sick. The doctor found problems with my heart. Michael heard his son's voice change completely. The excited, energetic McCullum was gone. replaced by a scared young man. "Dad, how sick? What kind of problem?" As Michael repeated his story, he could hear McCullum moving away from the music, probably finding somewhere quiet to talk. "I'm coming home, Dad. Right now." "You don't have to." "Yes, I do. This recording can wait. Nothing is more important than family." The third call was the hardest. Elena, his baby, was only 23 and still in college studying art. She had always been the most sensitive of his children, and Michael knew this news would hit her the hardest. "Daddy," Elena's cheerful voice made his heart ache. "I was just thinking about you. I painted a sunset yesterday that had the same colors as the one we watched from your backyard last summer." "That sounds beautiful, sweetheart. I'll send you a picture later. How are you doing? You sound tired." "Elena, I need to tell you something, and it's going to be hard to hear." "What is it?" Her voice immediately became worried. "I went to the doctor yesterday and she found some problems with my heart. Serious problems." Elena's gasp was followed by complete silence. "Daddy, no. Please tell me you're joking." "I wish I was, baby girl. I wish I..." Elena started crying, and each sob felt like a knife in Michael's heart. "Are you going to be okay? Can they fix it? What do the doctors..." "They don't know yet. It's going to take time to figure out the best treatment. I'm coming home right now. Today, I'm getting in my car and driving straight to Chicago." "Elena, you don't need to leave school." "Dad, stop." "What? You really think I care about school when my father is sick?" "I'm coming home, and that's final." After he hung up with Elena, Michael sat in his quiet kitchen and realized what he had done. In the span of 1 hour, he had turned his children's worlds upside down. Zara was probably already booking a flight. McCullum was walking away from his big chance. Elena was throwing clothes in a suitcase with tears streaming down her face, all because of his lie. But they were coming. Without question, without hesitation, they were dropping everything to be with him. Maybe he had been wrong about his family. Maybe they did love him exactly the way he had always hoped they would. Now he just had to figure out how to live with what he had done. Michael's phone started ringing at 6 in the morning the next day. He was already awake, staring at the ceiling and wondering if he had made the biggest mistake of his life. "Michael," his sister Carmen's voice was thick with worry. "Zara just called me. She said you're sick. Really sick." Michael closed his eyes and prepared to lie to another person he loved. "Carmen, don't you dare tell me not to worry," she interrupted. "I'm already looking at flights from Denver. I should be there by tonight. You don't have to come all the way here. Are you crazy? You're my little brother." "Of course I'm coming." Carmen's voice cracked. "Michael, I can't lose you. You're the strongest person I know. If something happens to you..." She couldn't finish the sentence, and Michael felt his chest tighten with guilt. Carmen had always been his protector growing up, even though she was only 2 years older. When their father left when Michael was 12, Carmen had stepped up and made sure he had everything he needed for basketball practice. She had driven him to games, cheered from the stands, and believed in him when nobody else did. "I'll be okay," he said softly. "Dr. Martinez is taking good care of me." What exactly did she say? What kind of heart problems? Michael realized he hadn't thought this through carefully enough. He didn't know enough about heart conditions to sound convincing. She's still running tests. She doesn't want to say too much until she knows for sure. An hour later, his brother Louis called from his construction site in Texas. "Hermano, what's this I hear about your heart?" Louis's voice was serious in a way Michael rarely heard. "Carmen called me crying. She said you might be really sick." "The doctors are still figuring it out," Michael said, hating how easy the lies were becoming. "Whatever you need, you ask me, okay? Money for the best doctors, someone to stay with you. Anything. I don't care what it costs." Louis had always been the practical one in the family, the one who solved problems with action instead of words. When Michael bought his first house, Louis had flown to Chicago and spent 2 weeks fixing everything that needed repair, refusing to take any payment. I appreciate that, Louis. Really. I'm serious, Michael. I'll get on a plane right now if you need me to. The call that surprised Michael the most came at noon. His phone showed a number he hadn't seen in almost 2 years. Diego. Yeah, it's me. His older brother's voice was uncomfortable but determined. Carmen told me about your heart. Michael and Diego had always had a complicated relationship. Diego was 5 years older and had struggled with jealousy over Michael's success. Their last conversation had been a terrible fight about money, with Diego accusing Michael of thinking he was better than his family just because he was famous. Diego, look, I know we haven't talked in a while, Diego interrupted. I know we said some things we shouldn't have said, but you're my brother and family is family. Michael was shocked into silence. I'm driving up from Florida tomorrow, Diego continued. I should be there by evening. We can talk about our problems later. Right now you need your family. You don't have to do that. Yes, I do. When Mama died, you paid for everything. You made sure she had the best care, the best funeral, everything. You took care of all of us, even when we didn't deserve it. Now it's my turn to take care of you. Michael felt tears forming in his eyes. He had forgotten about paying for their mother's medical bills and funeral. He had done it without thinking, because that's what family did for each other. Diego, about our fight. Forget about it, Michael. Life's too short for this stupid pride. I was jealous and angry and I said things I didn't mean. I'm sorry. As the day went on, Michael's phone didn't stop ringing. Zara called every hour with updates on her flight plans and to ask if he needed anything. McCullum called from the road to tell him he was driving straight through from Los Angeles instead of flying, because he was afraid of missing Michael's calls while he was in the air. I want to be available every second in case you need me, Dad, McCullum said. This recording session isn't important anymore. You're what's important. Elena called in tears, explaining that she had talked to her professors and gotten permission to miss 2 weeks of classes. I told them my father was sick and I needed to be with him, she sobbed. They all understood. Everyone knows how much you mean to me. Even his ex-wife, Patricia, called. Their marriage had ended 15 years ago, but they had managed to stay friendly for the kids' sake. Michael, the children are worried sick, she said. Zara sounds like she's about to have a panic attack, and Elena can barely speak without crying. What exactly is going on? It's my heart, Patricia. The doctors are still running tests, but it doesn't look good. There was a long pause. Do you need me to come help coordinate things? I know how scattered the kids can get when they're emotional. Michael was touched. Patricia had her own life now, her own problems to deal with, but she was offering to help manage his family crisis. You don't have to do that. The kids need their father, Michael, and right now they need him to get better. If I can help with that by keeping everyone organized and calm, then that's what I'll do. That evening, as Michael sat alone in his big house waiting for his family to arrive, he felt overwhelmed by what he had discovered. In less than 24 hours, his entire family had dropped everything to be with him. Carmen was flying in from Denver. Diego was driving up from Florida. Louis was ready to get on a plane at a moment's notice. His children were abandoning their careers and education to rush to his side. Even his ex-wife was offering to help. But the guilt was eating him alive. Every worried phone call, every tear in Elena's voice, every time someone said they loved him and couldn't bear to lose him, it all felt like a knife twisting in his chest. Dr. Martinez arrived at 7 o'clock for what everyone would believe was a house call to check on his condition. She carried a black medical bag and wore a serious expression that would convince anyone that this was a grave situation. Michael answered the door, making sure to look tired and weak. "Good evening, Michael," Dr. Martinez said loudly enough that anyone nearby would hear. "How are you feeling today?" "A little worse," Michael replied, playing his part. "The chest pains have been coming more frequently." Dr. Martinez nodded gravely and followed him inside. Once they were alone in his office with the door closed, her expression changed. "Michael, I've been thinking about this all day, and I have serious concerns about what we're doing." "It's just for a few days," Michael said quickly. "Just long enough to see how they react." "And how are they reacting?" Michael told her about all the phone calls about Carmen and Diego dropping everything to come see him. Dr. Martinez listened carefully, then opened her medical bag and pulled out a small notebook. She wrote something down and looked at Michael with an expression he couldn't read. "I'm going to examine you now, just in case anyone asks," she said. "But Michael, I want you to think carefully about what you're doing to these people. Love shouldn't have to be tested, it should be trusted." She checked his blood pressure and pulse, writing down numbers in her notebook. "I'll play along for now, but only because I can see you're learning something important about your family. Just promise me you won't let this go on too long." After Dr. Martinez left, Michael sat in his living room and tried to process everything that had happened. In one day, he had seen more love and concern from his family than he had felt in years. But he had also put them through emotional hell to get it. Tomorrow they would start arriving. Tomorrow, he would have to look them in the eye and continue his lie while they sacrificed everything to take care of him. Michael Jordan, who had faced the pressure of championship games and the eyes of millions of fans, had never been more terrified in his life. Carmen arrived first, just like Michael knew she would. He heard her rental car pull into the driveway at 9 in the morning, and when he opened the front door, she was already walking up the steps with 2 large suitcases and a bag of groceries. "Don't you dare try to help me carry these," she said, pushing past him into the house. "You need to save your strength." Michael watched his sister transform his quiet home into a bustling care center. Within an hour, she had unpacked her things in the guest room, filled his refrigerator with healthy foods, and started making a pot of the chicken soup their mother used to make when they were sick. "Sit down," she ordered, pointing to the couch. "I'm making you breakfast, and then you're going to tell me exactly what the doctor said." As Carmen bustled around the kitchen, Michael marveled at how natural this felt for her. She remembered exactly how he liked his coffee: 2 sugars, a splash of cream. She knew he preferred wheat toast over white, and she cut it into triangles just like their mother used to do. "Carmen, you don't have to wait on me," Michael said, feeling guilty about every kindness. "Yes, I do," she replied firmly. "You took care of all of us when Mama got sick. You paid for her medicine, her treatments, everything. You held our family together when we were falling apart. Now it's my turn." She brought him a tray with perfectly prepared breakfast and sat down next to him. "Now tell me what's really going on with your heart." Michael had spent the night practicing what to say, but looking into Carmen's worried brown eyes made the lies stick in his throat. "The doctor says it's serious. She needs to monitor me closely." Carmen reached over and took his hand. "Whatever happens, you're not going through this alone. I'm staying right here until you're better. You can't just leave your job. You have students who need you." "My students will be fine. My brother needs me more." Carmen's voice was fierce. "I already talked to my principal. I'm taking family leave for as long as necessary." That afternoon, Diego's truck pulled into the driveway. Michael watched through the window as his older brother climbed out slowly, looking uncertain. It had been 2 years since they'd seen each other, and their last meeting had ended with angry words and slammed doors. Michael opened the front door before Diego could knock. "Hermano," Diego said quietly, his eyes searching Michael's face. "You look tired." "I am tired," Michael replied, and for once he wasn't lying. The guilt was exhausting. Diego stepped forward hesitantly, then suddenly pulled Michael into a tight hug. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry for all the stupid things I said. I was jealous and proud, and I almost lost my brother because of it." Michael felt his eyes fill with tears. "Diego? No, let me finish," Diego said, pulling back but keeping his hands on Michael's shoulders. "You are always the special one, the talented one, the one who made it out of our neighborhood and became something amazing. Sometimes I forgot that underneath all that success, you're still just my little brother who used to follow me around and ask to play basketball with my friends." Carmen appeared in the doorway and smiled when she saw her two brothers together. "About time you two made up," she said. "Now get inside before the neighbors start taking pictures." That evening, McCullum arrived after driving for 2 straight days. He looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes and stubble covering his usually clean-shaven face. "Dad?" He dropped his guitar case and duffel bag right inside the door and wrapped Michael in a fierce hug. "I drove as fast as I could. I barely stopped except for gas." "Son, you should have flown. It would have been faster." "I wanted to be available every second in case you called," McCullum said. "I couldn't stand the thought of being unreachable on a plane if you needed me." McCullum immediately set up his guitar in the corner of Michael's bedroom. "Music heals, Dad. I'm going to play for you every day until you're better." Elena arrived the next morning, her car packed with art supplies and enough clothes for a month. She burst through the front door in tears and threw herself into Michael's arms. "Daddy, I was so scared," she sobbed. "I kept imagining getting a phone call saying you were gone, and I never got to say goodbye properly." "I'm here, baby girl," Michael said, stroking her hair. "I'm right here." Elena pulled back and wiped her eyes. "I brought my paints. I'm going to do a portrait of you. Something beautiful to celebrate your strength and show how much we love you." "Elena, you didn't have to leave school. Are you kidding me? School doesn't matter if my father is sick. Nothing matters except making sure you get better." By the weekend, even Patricia had arrived. She moved into the downstairs guest room and immediately took charge of coordinating everyone's schedules. "Zara will be here Monday morning," she announced at breakfast. "She managed to postpone her big case by 2 weeks, but she's worried sick about leaving you." Michael watched his ex-wife organize his family's care with the same efficiency she had once brought to managing their household. She made sure Carmen got breaks from cooking, scheduled Diego to drive Michael to doctor appointments, and gave McCullum and Elena time to practice their music and art. "You don't have to do all this, Patricia," Michael said when they had a moment alone. "The kids need their father," she replied simply. "And right now, they need him to focus on getting well, not on worrying about logistics." As the days passed, Michael's house transformed completely. The quiet, empty mansion became filled with voices, laughter, and constant activity. Carmen had claimed the kitchen and filled it with the smells of homemade cooking. Diego spent hours fixing small things around the house that Michael had been meaning to repair. McCullum played soft guitar melodies throughout the day, filling the silence Michael had grown to hate. Elena set up an art studio in the sunroom and worked on a large canvas portrait of Michael surrounded by all of them. "I want to capture how much we love you," she explained when he found her painting late one evening. But it was the small moments that broke Michael's heart the most. Carmen sleeping on the couch outside his bedroom, just in case he needed anything during the night. Diego learning to make Michael's favorite coffee exactly the right way. McCullum composing a gentle melody he called Healing Song and playing it whenever Michael seemed stressed. Elena reading to him every evening before bed, even though she was exhausted from taking care of him all day. "What are you reading tonight, baby girl?" Michael asked as Elena settled into the chair beside his bed with a book. "The same stories you used to read to me when I was little," she said with a smile. I thought they might help you feel better the way they helped me." As Elena's soft voice filled the room with familiar fairy tales, Michael realized something that made his chest ache with more than guilt. He was seeing a side of his family he had never witnessed before. Without basketball, without his fame, without his money, they loved him simply for being their father, their brother, their friend. Zara called every few hours from New York, frustrated that she couldn't be there yet. "How is he today?" she would ask Carmen or Patricia. "Is he eating enough? Is he resting? Should I fly home right now instead of waiting until Monday?" Louis called every evening to check in and repeatedly offered to drop everything and come to Chicago. "Just say the word, Hermano, and I'm on a plane." Michael had wanted to test his family's love, and the test results were overwhelming. They had surrounded him with more care, attention, and affection than he had received in years. But every act of kindness felt like another weight added to the crushing guilt in his chest. Every worried look, every gentle touch, every sacrifice they made for his fake illness made him hate himself a little more. Dr. Martinez arrived each evening for her house calls, and each time she left, Michael caught her giving him looks that made him uncomfortable. She had started bringing that mysterious notebook with her, writing in it while she examined him, asking strange questions about how his family was treating him. "They seem very devoted," she observed after watching Carmen fuss over his dinner. "They are," Michael said, wondering why she was taking notes about his family instead of his fake symptoms. "Interesting," Dr. Martinez murmured, writing something else down. "Very interesting indeed." As Michael lay in bed that night, surrounded by the sounds of his family settling in for another night of caring for him, he realized the truth he had been trying to discover. His family's love was real, deeper and stronger than he had ever imagined, and he was destroying it with every lie he told. By the 5th day, Michael was getting sloppy with his act. The constant guilt was wearing him down, and he found it harder to remember to look sick when his family was around. Elena caught him first. She had come upstairs to bring him lunch and found his bedroom door slightly open. Through the crack, she could see her father jogging in place beside his bed, his face healthy and alert. "Dad?" Elena pushed the door open, confusion written across her face. "Should you be exercising?" Michael's heart jumped into his throat. He quickly sat down on the bed and tried to look tired. "Tomorrow night, tried to look tired." "Oh, sweetheart." Dr. Martinez said gentle movement would be good for me. Just a little bit to keep my blood flowing. Elena looked uncertain. "But jogging? That seems like more than gentle movement." "It was just marching in place," Michael said quickly. "Nothing too strenuous." Elena nodded slowly, but Michael could see doubt in her eyes. "Okay, Dad. Just be careful, please. I can't lose you." The guilt hit him like a punch to the stomach. His youngest daughter was worried sick about him, and here he was lying to her face. 2 days later, McCullum noticed something else. "Dad, you ate 3 helpings of Carmen's enchiladas last night," McCullum said, sitting on the edge of Michael's bed. "And you finished all your breakfast this morning. Are you feeling better?" Michael realized he had been eating like a healthy man, not someone with serious heart problems. "I'm just trying to keep my strength up," he said. "The doctor said good nutrition is important. But yesterday you also ate 2 sandwiches for lunch and asked for seconds at dinner," McCullum continued. "That's a lot of food for someone who's supposed to be really sick." "Maybe the medication is helping," Michael said weakly. McCullum studied his father's face. "What medication? I haven't seen you take any pills." Michael's mind raced. "Dr. Martinez gives me injections when she comes. You probably just haven't noticed." McCullum didn't look convinced, but he dropped the subject. Still, Michael caught him watching more carefully after that, paying attention to things he hadn't noticed before. The closest call came when Zara finally arrived from New York. She burst through the front door like a hurricane, dropping her expensive luggage and rushing straight to Michael's bedroom. "Dad!" She threw her arms around him in a fierce hug. "I'm so sorry it took me this long to get here. I had to finish presenting my case to the client, but I told them I wouldn't be available for the next 2 weeks no matter what." As Zara hugged him, Michael could feel how tense she was. Her usually perfect hair was messy, her clothes were wrinkled, and there were dark circles under her eyes. "Sweetheart, you look exhausted," Michael said. "I haven't slept since you called," Zara admitted. "Every time I closed my eyes, I kept thinking about losing you." That evening, Michael overheard Zara talking quietly on the phone in the guest room. "I know Dad said not to get a second opinion, but something feels off," she was saying. "I'm a lawyer, Mom. I noticed details. He looks too healthy for someone who's supposed to be this sick." Michael's blood turned cold. Zara was talking to her mother, not Patricia, but Michael's own mother, who had passed away years ago. No, that couldn't be right. He listened more carefully. "I know you think I'm being paranoid, Patricia, but my instincts are usually right about these things," Zara continued. "His color is good, his appetite is normal, and I haven't seen him take a single medication. Plus, Martinez keeps asking weird questions about our family instead of focusing on Dad's condition." Michael crept closer to the door. "What do you mean, what kind of questions?" Zara asked. She wanted to know how long we've all been here, whether we've changed our lives to take care of him, how we're getting along with each other. Why would a heart doctor care about family dynamics? Michael's panic grew. He hadn't realized Dr. Martinez was asking those kinds of questions. What was she doing? "I'm going to do some research on this Dr. Martinez," Zara said. "Something about this whole situation doesn't add up." Michael backed away from the door, his mind racing. If Zara started investigating Dr. Martinez, she might discover that his condition wasn't as serious as they'd been told. Or worse, she might figure out that he wasn't sick at all. The next morning, Michael found Diego sitting alone in the kitchen at 5 a.m., staring at old family photos spread across the table. "Couldn't sleep?" Michael asked. Diego looked up with red eyes. "I keep thinking about all the time we wasted being angry at each other," he said quietly. 2 years, Michael. 2 years we could have been brothers again." Michael sat down across from him, his chest tight with guilt. "Look at this," Diego said, picking up a photo of them as children. "You were maybe 8 years old here. You followed me everywhere, wanted to do everything I did. You looked up to me like I was some kind of hero." "You were my hero," Michael said, and for once he wasn't lying. "And I let jealousy ruin that," Diego continued. "When you became famous, when you started making all that money, I felt like you didn't need your big brother anymore. Like you were too good for the rest of us." "Diego, that's not—" "Let me finish," Diego said. "I was wrong, and now, sitting here thinking I might lose you forever, I realize how stupid I was. All those years I was angry. You were still my little brother. You were still the kid who looked up to me and wanted to make me proud." Diego wiped his eyes. "I wasted so much time being bitter when I could have been grateful. Grateful that my little brother became something amazing. Grateful that he never forgot where he came from or stopped loving his family." Michael felt like he was drowning in guilt. Diego was pouring his heart out, expressing regret for time they'd lost, while Michael was lying about everything. "I'm just glad we're here now," Michael managed to say. "Me too," Diego said. "Whatever happens with your health, at least we're brothers again. At least I got to tell you how sorry I am and how proud I am of you." That afternoon, Dr. Martinez arrived for her daily visit. As usual, she carried her black medical bag and that mysterious notebook. But this time, when she examined Michael, her questions were different. "How are you feeling about all the attention from your family?" she asked, while checking his blood pressure. "What do you mean? I mean, how does it feel to have them all here, taking care of you, putting their lives on hold?" Michael didn't know how to answer. It feels overwhelming. Dr. Martinez wrote something in her notebook. Overwhelming in what way? I didn't expect them to drop everything like this. I didn't realize how much they cared. And how does that make you feel? Michael looked at her suspiciously. Why are you asking me these questions? Shouldn't you be more concerned about my heart condition? Dr. Martinez closed her notebook and looked at him with an expression he couldn't read. Michael, I think it's time we had an honest conversation about what's really happening here. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do, she said quietly. And I think your family is starting to figure it out too. Your daughter Zara is a very smart woman. How long do you think it will be before she starts asking the right questions? Michael felt panic rising in his chest. What are you talking about? Dr. Martinez stood up and gathered her things. I'm talking about the fact that this deception is starting to fall apart, and when it does, it's going to hurt a lot of people who love you very much. She headed toward the door, then turned back. Think carefully about how much longer you want to keep this up, Michael, because lies have a way of destroying the very thing you're trying to protect. After she left, Michael sat alone in his bedroom, listening to the sounds of his family taking care of him. Carmen was cooking dinner downstairs. Elena was setting up her easel in the sunroom. McCullum was quietly playing guitar in the living room. Diego was fixing a squeaky hinge on the front door. They were all there because they loved him. They had given up their jobs, their school, their dreams, their time, all because they thought he needed them, and he was repaying their love with lies. Michael realized that Dr. Martinez was right. The deception was falling apart, and when the truth came out, it would destroy everything beautiful that had happened over the past week. But he didn't know how to stop it. He didn't know how to tell the people he loved most that he had put them through emotional hell just to test their love. Most of all, he didn't know if they would ever forgive him. Michael woke up with his mind made up. He couldn't continue this lie for another day. The guilt was eating him alive, and watching his family sacrifice everything for his deception had become unbearable. Today he would tell them the truth. He planned to gather everyone after breakfast and confess everything. He would apologize, beg for their forgiveness, and hope that somehow they could find a way to understand why he had done such a terrible thing. But at 7 in the morning, everything went wrong. Michael heard a crash from downstairs, followed by Carmen's panicked voice calling for help. He rushed down to find Elena collapsed on the kitchen floor, her face pale and her breathing shallow. A breakfast tray lay scattered around her, orange juice and broken dishes everywhere. She just fainted, Carmen said, kneeling beside Elena and checking her pulse. She was bringing you breakfast when she suddenly swayed and fell. Elena's eyes fluttered open, but she looked confused and weak. What happened? She whispered. You fainted, baby girl, Michael said, his heart racing with real fear now. We're calling an ambulance. No, I'm okay. Elena tried to sit up but immediately became dizzy again. I just felt lightheaded for a second. McCullum came running downstairs, followed by Diego. What's going on? Elena collapsed, Carmen explained. She looks exhausted. As they waited for the paramedics, Carmen held Elena's hand and spoke quietly to her. Sweetheart, when was the last time you really slept? You've been staying up all night working on that painting and then taking care of your father all day. I wanted to finish Dad's portrait, Elena said weakly. I wanted it to be perfect in case she couldn't finish the sentence. Michael felt like his heart was being ripped out of his chest. His youngest daughter had made herself sick with worry and exhaustion, all because of his lie. At the hospital, the doctor explained that Elena was suffering from severe exhaustion and dehydration. She's been running on adrenaline and caffeine for too long, the doctor said. Her body finally gave out. Will she be okay? Michael asked, his voice shaking. She'll be fine with rest and fluids, the doctor assured him. But she needs to slow down and take care of herself. As Elena rested in the hospital bed, she looked at Michael with tired eyes. "I'm sorry, Dad. I didn't mean to scare everyone. I just wanted to be strong for you." "You have nothing to apologize for," Michael said, taking her hand. "This is my fault." "No, it's not," Elena said firmly. "You're sick, and we're your family. Taking care of you is what we're supposed to do." Michael had to leave the room before he broke down completely. In the hallway, he found his family gathered together, their faces full of worry and exhaustion. "We can't keep going like this," Zara said quietly. "We're all running ourselves into the ground." "Maybe we should hire professional nurses," Carmen suggested. "People who can help take care of Michael around the clock." "No," Diego said firmly. "He's our brother, our father. We take care of our own family." "But look what happened to Elena," McCullum said. "She's killing herself trying to be everything to everyone." Patricia, who had been quiet through all of this, finally spoke up. "Maybe we need to have a serious conversation with Dr. Martinez about Michael's prognosis. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with so we can make better plans." Michael felt panic rising in his chest. If they started asking Dr. Martinez detailed medical questions, his whole deception would fall apart. That evening, back at the house with Elena resting comfortably in her room, Michael knew he had to end this charade. He couldn't watch his family destroy themselves for a lie anymore. Elena's collapse had been the wake-up call he needed. He gathered everyone in the living room. Carmen sat beside Elena on the couch, making sure she was comfortable. Diego and McCullum occupied the chairs nearby. Zara paced by the window, her lawyer instincts clearly working overtime. Patricia sat at the dining room table with a notebook, probably organizing care schedules. "I need to tell you all something," Michael began, his voice shaking. "Something very important." The room fell silent. Every face turned toward him with the same expression, fear that he was about to deliver devastating news about his condition. "Is it worse than we thought?" Zara asked, her voice barely a whisper. Michael looked around the room at all the people he loved most in the world. Carmen, who had given up her teaching job to take care of him. Diego, who had driven hundreds of miles to reconcile with a brother he thought was dying. McCullum, who had abandoned his dream recording session. Elena, who had made herself sick with worry. Zara, who had postponed the biggest case of her career. Patricia, who had put her own life on hold to help coordinate his care. "No," Michael said, his throat tight. "It's not worse, it's..." Before he could continue, the doorbell rang. Through the window, Michael could see Dr. Martinez's car in the driveway. "That's the doctor," Carmen said, starting to get up. "Perfect timing. Maybe she can answer some of our questions." "Wait," Michael said desperately. "Before she comes in, I need to tell you." But Carmen was already opening the front door. Dr. Martinez entered carrying her black medical bag and wearing an expression that looked more serious than usual. "Good evening, everyone," she said, looking around the room at all the worried faces. "I hope Elena is feeling better." "She's much better, thank you," Patricia said. "Doctor, we were hoping we could ask you some questions about Michael's condition. We need to understand exactly what we're dealing with so we can take better care of him." Dr. Martinez set down her bag and looked directly at Michael. Her eyes held a message he couldn't quite read. "Actually," Dr. Martinez said slowly, "I think it's time we all had a very honest conversation about what's been happening here." Michael's heart stopped. The room fell completely silent as everyone waited for her to continue. "There's something you all need to know," Dr. Martinez said, her voice gentle but firm. "Something about your father's condition that he hasn't told you." Zara stepped forward, her lawyer instincts taking over. "What do you mean? What hasn't he told us?" Dr. Martinez looked at Michael one more time, and he could see a mixture of compassion and determination in her eyes. She was going to tell them. After all his planning to confess on his own terms, the truth was going to come out right here, right now, in front of everyone. "The truth is," Dr. Martinez said, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife, "your father's condition is much more complicated than any of you realize." Michael closed his eyes and waited for his world to explode. Michael closed his eyes and waited for his world to explode. This was it. Dr. Martinez was about to expose his lies in front of his entire family. He braced himself for their shock, their anger, their disappointment. But the words that came next weren't what he expected. "Your father asked me to help him with what he called a test," Dr. Martinez said, looking around the room. "He wanted to pretend to be sick to see how you would all react." The silence that followed was deafening. Michael could hear his own heartbeat as he watched the faces of everyone he loved transform from concern to confusion to something that looked like betrayal. "What?" Elena whispered from the couch, her face going even paler than when she had fainted. "Dad!" Zara's voice was sharp, her lawyer training kicking in. "Is this true?" Michael opened his mouth, but no words came out. How could he explain? How could he justify what he had done? "Let me finish," Dr. Martinez said, raising her hand. "Because there's more to this story than you know." She opened her black notebook, the one she had been writing in during every visit. "Your father isn't sick with a heart condition. That part is true. But during my visits here, I've been observing something much more important." Michael stared at her, confused. What was she talking about? "I've been documenting the most incredible display of family love I've ever witnessed," Dr. Martinez continued, flipping through pages of notes. "Carmen, you haven't left this house for 6 days. You've slept on a couch, cooked every meal, and turned yourself into a full-time caregiver without a single complaint." Carmen looked stunned. "I don't understand." "Diego," Dr. Martinez turned to him, "you drove 12 hours from Florida and haven't returned a single business call since you arrived. You put aside a 2-year grudge because you thought your brother needed you." Diego's mouth fell open. "McCullum, you gave up what could have been your big break in music to drive across the country. You've been playing healing songs for your father every day. Elena, you've barely slept or eaten because you were so focused on creating something beautiful for him. You made yourself sick with worry and love." Elena started crying quietly. "And Zara," Dr. Martinez looked at the oldest daughter, "you postponed the biggest case of your career. You've been calling here every few hours, desperate to make sure your father was okay." Zara shook her head in disbelief. "But why are you telling us this? If Dad was lying about being sick, why didn't you stop it on the first day?" Dr. Martinez closed her notebook and looked directly at Michael. "Because I realized something that your father needed to learn. Michael, you wanted to test whether your family loves you. But you've actually proven something much more important." Michael stared at her, not understanding. "You've proven that you love them just as much as they love you," Dr. Martinez said gently. "I've watched you struggle with guilt every single day. I've seen you lose weight from stress, seen you break your own heart watching the pain your lie was causing. The fact that this deception has been torture for you shows that your heart is in the right place, even if your methods were terribly wrong." The room was completely silent except for the sound of Elena's quiet sobs. "Michael," Dr. Martinez continued, "you didn't need to test your family's love. What you needed was to trust it. And more importantly, you needed to see that the love goes both ways." McCullum stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "So you're not dying?" "No," Michael whispered, his voice barely audible. "I'm perfectly healthy, and I'm the biggest fool who ever lived." The explosion Michael had been expecting finally came, but not all at once. It started with Zara. "You let me think my father was dying," she said, her voice rising with each word. "Do you have any idea what that did to me? I haven't slept in over a week. I've been planning your funeral in my head. Zara, I cancelled the biggest case of my career. She continued, her professional composure cracking completely. I turned down a partnership opportunity because I told them my father was more important than work. Elena looked up from the couch, tears streaming down her face. I made myself sick worrying about you. I was so scared I was going to lose you that I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't think about anything else. And I have been working on that painting every night until 3 in the morning, she continued, her voice breaking. I wanted it to be perfect because I thought it might be the last gift I could ever give you. McCullum just stared at his father, slowly shaking his head. Why, Dad? Why would you do this to us? Michael looked around the room at the faces of the people he loved most. Faces that were now filled with hurt and confusion instead of love and concern. Because I was lonely, he said quietly, his voice cracking. Because I felt like you all had your own successful lives and didn't need me anymore. Because I wanted to know if you loved me for who I am, not for what I used to be, or what I could give you. Carmen, who had been silent through all of this, finally spoke. Her voice was quiet but firm. Michael, you fool. Did you really need to put us through hell to learn that we love you? I know there's no excuse for what I did, Michael said, his own eyes filling with tears. But I learned something too. I learned that I have the most incredible family in the world. I learned that you would drop everything for me without question. I learned that love isn't something you test, it's something you trust. Diego stood up and walked toward the door. I need some air, he said without looking back. Diego, please. Michael started. No, Diego said, stopping at the doorway. I poured my heart out to you yesterday. I told you how sorry I was for wasting 2 years being angry. I cried in front of you because I thought I was losing my brother forever. And the whole time you were lying to me. One by one, the rest of his family began to leave the room. Carmen gathered Elena's things to help her upstairs. McCullum packed up his guitar without saying a word. Patricia simply looked at him with disappointment and headed toward her room. Zara was the last to leave. She stood in the doorway and looked back at her father. I love you, Dad, she said quietly. I always have, and I always will. But right now, I don't know how to forgive you for this. After everyone had gone, Michael was left alone with Dr. Martinez. Why, he asked her. Why did you help me if you knew it was wrong? Dr. Martinez sat down across from him. Because I recognize something in you that I see in many successful people. You've spent so long being Michael Jordan the legend that you forgot how to be Michael Jordan the person. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Your family doesn't love the basketball player. They love the man who taught them to ride bikes, who cheered at their school plays, who called them just to say goodnight when they were little. But that man would never have put them through what you put them through, she continued. You need to find him again. Michael nodded. Understanding. How do I fix this? Time, Dr. Martinez said simply. Trust takes time to rebuild. But if the love I witnessed this week is real, and I believe it is, then your family will find a way to forgive you. You just have to be patient and prove that you've learned from this mistake. After Dr. Martinez left, Michael sat alone in his living room, listening to the sounds of his family moving around upstairs. The house that had been filled with love and laughter for the past week now felt cold and empty again. But this time, the emptiness was his own fault. Michael woke up the next morning to complete silence. For the first time in a week, no one was cooking breakfast downstairs. No one was checking on him. No gentle guitar music drifted through the house. The crushing loneliness he had felt before his deception was nothing compared to this. He walked downstairs to find a note from Carmen on the kitchen counter. Gone to hotel. Need time to think. His phone showed 3 missed calls from Luis and 2 text messages asking how he was feeling. Michael realized that Carmen and Diego hadn't told the rest of the family what had happened yet. Luis still thought his brother was dying. Michael made coffee with shaking hands and sat at the kitchen table where his whole family had gathered just yesterday morning. Elena's art supplies were gone from the sunroom. McCullum's guitar was no longer in the corner. The house felt bigger and emptier than ever before. Around noon, McCullum appeared at the front door. He didn't use his key. He rang the doorbell like a stranger. "Can I come in?" McCullum asked when Michael answered. "Of course, this is your home too." McCullum shook his head. "I don't know if it feels like home anymore." They sat in the living room, the same space where Dr. Martinez had revealed the truth just 12 hours earlier. McCullum stared at his hands for a long time before speaking. "I keep thinking about that recording session," he said quietly. "It was with a producer who could have changed my whole career. I've been trying to get a meeting with him for 2 years." Michael's chest tightened. "Son, I'm so sorry." "Let me finish," McCullum interrupted. "I was in the middle of the most important moment of my professional life, and when you said you were sick, I didn't even hesitate. I walked out of that studio without a second thought." "McCullum, do you know why I did that, Dad?" Michael shook his head. "Because you're my father, and I love you more than any career or dream or opportunity. Because family comes first. Always. That's what you taught me." McCullum looked up at his father with eyes that held both love and pain. "So when I find out that you used that love against me, that you manipulated the most important thing in my life just to test whether it was real, it breaks something inside me." Michael felt tears forming in his eyes. "I never meant to hurt you, but you did hurt me," McCullum said. "You hurt all of us." Elena made herself sick with worry. Zara gave up a partnership opportunity. Carmen left her students. Diego drove hundreds of miles, thinking he might lose his brother forever. I know, and I hate myself for it." McCullum stood up and walked to the window. "The worst part is that it worked. Your test worked perfectly. We all proved that we love you more than anything else in our lives. But instead of feeling good about that, you should feel terrible. Because we already knew we loved you. The only person who didn't know it was you." McCullum turned back to face his father. "The question now is, how do we trust you again? How do we believe anything you say when you've shown us that you're willing to lie about the most serious things just to get what you want?" Michael had no answer for that. An hour after McCullum left, Elena arrived. She looked pale and tired, but she was carrying her art supplies. "I came to get my painting," she said simply. Michael followed her to the sunroom, where her easel still held the large canvas she'd been working on. The portrait showed Michael surrounded by his family, all of them laughing and embracing. It was beautiful and full of love. "Elena, it's incredible," Michael said. "It was supposed to be," Elena replied, carefully taking the canvas off the easel. "I wanted to capture how much we love you. I stayed up every night working on it because I thought it might be the last thing I could ever give you." She packed her paints and brushes into her case. "But now when I look at it, all I can think about is how I was killing myself to create something beautiful while you were lying to me. Sweetheart, please, can we talk about this?" Elena stopped packing and looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Dad, I ended up in the hospital because I was so worried about you. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus on anything but the fear of losing you. And you knew the whole time that it was all fake. I didn't know you would make yourself sick. I never wanted that to happen. But it did happen," Elena said. "And it happened because you decided to play games with our emotions instead of just talking to us about feeling lonely." She picked up her art case and the painting. "I need some time to figure out how to forgive you for this. I love you, Dad, but I can't be around you right now." That evening, Zara came by to pick up her luggage. She was all business, her lawyer mask firmly in place. "I've rescheduled my flight back to New York for tomorrow morning," she said, pulling her suitcase from the guest room. "Zara, please. Can we talk about this?" She stopped in the doorway and looked at him. "What is there to talk about, Dad? You lied to us about the most serious thing imaginable. You watched us suffer and sacrifice and worry ourselves sick, and you let it continue for a week." "I was going to tell you the truth. I was planning to confess yesterday morning before Elena collapsed." "But you didn't tell us," Zara said firmly. "Dr. Martinez had to do it for you. Even when you had the chance to come clean, you couldn't do it." Michael realized she was right. Even at the very end, he hadn't been brave enough to tell the truth himself. "I know I messed up," he said. "I know I hurt you all terribly, but I learned something important about how much you love me." Zara's expression hardened. "Dad, we didn't need to prove our love to you. We've been proving it our whole lives. Every time we called just to say hello, every time we visited for holidays, every time we included you in our successes and failures, that was us loving you." She hefted her suitcase and headed toward the door. "The problem was never that we didn't love you enough. The problem was that you didn't trust our love. And now you've damaged the very thing you were trying to test." After Zara left, Michael called Diego's hotel room. Diego answered on the fourth ring. "What do you want, Michael?" "I want to apologize. I want to explain." "There's nothing to explain," Diego cut him off. "You lied to me. You made me think I was losing my brother when I had just gotten him back." "Diego, please, our reconciliation was real. That wasn't part of the lie." "How do I know that?" Diego asked. "How do I know what was real and what was part of your game? You're an actor, Michael. You convinced all of us that you were dying. How do I trust anything you say now? Because I'm telling you the truth now. Like you were telling me the truth yesterday when you let me cry over your sickbed." Michael had no answer for that either. That night, Michael sat alone in his bedroom, the same room where his family had taken turns reading to him, bringing him meals, and making sure he was comfortable. Now it felt like a prison cell where he was serving time for his crimes against the people he loved most. Dr. Martinez had been right about one thing. He had learned that his family's love was real and deep and unconditional. But she had also been right about something else. Love wasn't meant to be tested. It was meant to be trusted. And now, because he had chosen to test instead of trust, he might have destroyed the very relationships that meant everything to him. The worst part was that he had no one to blame but himself. Michael woke up the next morning to silence that felt different from the loneliness he'd experienced before. This wasn't the quiet of being forgotten. This was the silence of being pushed away by people who loved him but couldn't trust him anymore. He made coffee and sat at his kitchen table with his phone, staring at the contact list. Every name represented someone he had hurt. His finger hovered over Elena's number for 10 minutes before he finally pressed call. It went straight to voicemail. "Hi, baby girl," he said after the beep. "I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but I needed you to know how sorry I am. I love you, and I'm going to find a way to earn your trust back, however long it takes." He tried calling McCullum next. This time, McCullum answered. "Dad, I'm not ready to talk yet," McCullum said immediately. "I understand. I just wanted you to know that I called your producer." "What?" "I tracked down the contact information for the studio where you were recording. I explained the situation and asked if there was any way you could get another chance." McCullum was quiet for a long moment. "What did you tell them?" "The truth. That my son gave up the opportunity to take care of his sick father, and that I wanted to make it right." Michael paused. "I didn't mention that I wasn't actually sick. I figured that would just make things more complicated." "And?" "He said he was impressed by your loyalty to family. He wants to meet with you next week when you get back to Los Angeles." McCullum sighed. "Dad, you can't fix this with phone calls and favors." "I know, but I can try to undo some of the damage I caused." "The damage isn't to my career," McCullum said quietly. "The damage is to my ability to trust you." After McCullum hung up, Michael tried Zara. She didn't answer either, but she texted him back an hour later. "Need time. Please respect that." Carmen's phone went straight to voicemail too. Diego didn't answer at all. Over the next few days, Michael threw himself into trying to make amends. He sent flowers to Elena's college with a note apologizing for disrupting her studies. He arranged for Carmen's substitute teacher to be paid extra so she wouldn't lose money during her time away. He contacted Zara's law firm and offered to write a letter explaining why she had to postpone her case. But every gesture felt hollow. He was trying to fix the symptoms while ignoring the disease. He had broken their trust, and trust couldn't be bought or arranged with phone calls. A week passed with minimal contact from his family. Elena finally answered one of his calls. "Dad, I love you, but I need time to process this," she said. Her voice sounded tired but not angry anymore. "You broke something and I don't know how to fix it yet. How much time do you need?" Michael asked desperately. "I don't know. Maybe weeks. Maybe months. I can't put a timeline on forgiveness." Patricia was the first to actually visit. She showed up unannounced with a bag of groceries and started making lunch without saying hello. "You look terrible," she said, glancing at Michael's unshaven face and wrinkled clothes. "I feel terrible." "Good. You should." Patricia opened the refrigerator and started pulling out ingredients. "When's the last time you ate a real meal?" "I don't know. A few days ago." Patricia shook her head and began making sandwiches. "You know, Michael, when we were married, I always worried that your competitive nature would get you in trouble someday. I just never imagined it would be like this." "I wasn't competing with anyone. I was just—" "You were competing with doubt," Patricia interrupted. "You turned your family's love into a game you had to win. But love isn't a competition, Michael. It's a gift." She put a sandwich in front of him and sat down across the table. "The kids are hurt, but they're not done with you. They just need to figure out how to trust you again." "How do I help them do that?" "You don't," Patricia said firmly. "You wait. You give them space. And you prove through your actions, not your words, that you've learned from this mistake." "What if they can't forgive me?" Patricia looked at him with the same expression she used to wear when he was being stubborn about something obvious. "Michael, those kids drove across the country and dropped everything because they thought you were sick. That kind of love doesn't just disappear because you made a terrible decision, but it does need time to heal." 2 weeks after the truth came out, Michael was surprised to get a call from Dr. Martinez. "How are you doing, Michael?" "Not great," he admitted. "My family won't talk to me. I think I've ruined everything. Actually, that's why I'm calling. I've been in touch with Carmen." Michael's heart jumped. "What? Why?" "She reached out to me because she wanted to understand why I helped you with your deception. We had a long conversation about family dynamics and the psychology of testing relationships." "What did you tell her?" "I told her what I told you, that your guilt during the whole experience proved you love your family deeply. I also told her that I've never seen a family respond to crisis with more love and unity than yours did." Dr. Martinez paused. "Carmen is a wise woman, Michael. She understands that what you did was wrong. But she also understands that it came from a place of pain, not malice. Does that mean she'll forgive me?" "It means she's thinking about it." "But Michael, forgiveness isn't something you can rush or demand. It has to be given freely." A month after the deception was revealed, Carmen finally called. "I'm coming over," she said without preamble. "We need to talk." When Carmen arrived, she looked older somehow. The stress of the past month had taken its toll on her too. "I've been thinking about something Mama used to say," Carmen began, settling into the living room chair she had occupied during those intense days of caring for him. She used to tell us that love isn't our never making mistakes, it's about how you handle the mistakes when you make them. Michael waited, afraid to speak. What you did was terrible, Michael. You hurt all of us in ways that are going to take a long time to heal. But I also know my little brother, and I know that a man would never intentionally hurt his family. I didn't think it would hurt anyone, Michael said quietly. I thought it would just show me how much you cared. That's the problem, Carmen said. You didn't think about how it would feel for us to believe we were losing you. You only thought about what you would gain from our reactions. She leaned forward in her chair. But I've also been thinking about why you felt the need to test our love in the first place. You've been lonely, haven't you? Really lonely. Michael nodded, not trusting his voice. And loneliness can make people do desperate things, Carmen continued. I'm not excusing what you did, but I understand why you did it. Does that mean you forgive me? Carmen was quiet for a long time. I'm working on it, she said finally. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip, Michael. It's a process. But I love you enough to try. After Carmen left, Michael felt the first small spark of hope he'd experienced in weeks. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was the possibility of forgiveness, and for now that was enough to keep him going. He still had a long way to go to earn back his family's trust. But at least now he had a roadmap. Patience, humility, and proving through his actions that he had learned from his terrible mistake. 3 months later, Michael's house was full again, but this time it was different. The trust was still fragile, still rebuilding, but it was there.
Elena's 24th birthday had brought the family together for the first time since the truth had come out. It wasn't easy. There were still moments of awkwardness, careful conversations, and unspoken tensions. But they were trying, and that felt like a miracle to Michael.
Happy birthday, baby girl, Michael said, giving Elena a gentle hug as she arrived with McCullum. Thanks, Dad, she replied, and her smile reached her eyes for the first time in months. Elena had been the first to really soften toward him, calling 2 months after Carmen's visit. I miss you, she had said simply. I'm still hurt, but I miss my father. They had started with short phone calls, then coffee meetings, and slowly rebuilt their relationship one conversation at a time. Elena was cautious but loving, setting boundaries while leaving the door open for healing. McCullum had taken longer. He had gone back to Los Angeles and actually gotten the recording deal. But he'd told Michael about it through Carmen instead of calling directly. It wasn't until last week that he'd finally called his father himself. I got the contract, McCullum had said. The producer was impressed that I chose family over career, even if the situation was complicated. I'm proud of you, son.
I know you are, and I know you love me. I'm just learning how to trust that again.
Now watching McCullum set up his guitar in the living room to play Elena's favorite songs, Michael felt a warmth he hadn't experienced since before his deception. Zara arrived next, looking professional as always but relaxed in a way she hadn't been during those terrible days when she thought he was dying. Dad, she said, giving him a brief but genuine hug. How are you feeling? It was the same question she used to ask during his fake illness, but now it had a different meaning. She was asking about his emotional health, his loneliness, the problems that had led to his terrible decision. Better, Michael said honestly, taking it one day at a time. Zara had been the hardest to win back. As a lawyer, she dealt in facts and evidence, and the fact was that he had lied to her about the most serious thing imaginable. But she was also practical, and she understood that holding on to anger forever wouldn't help anyone. I've been thinking about what Dr. Martinez said. Zara had told him during their first phone conversation 2 months ago, about how your guilt proved you love us. I still think what you did was wrong, but I believe your intentions weren't malicious. Does that make a difference? It makes it possible for me to forgive you." Eventually, Carmen bustled in from the kitchen carrying Elena's birthday cake, a chocolate masterpiece decorated with tiny painted canvases since Elena was an art student. "Everyone to the dining room," Carmen announced. "Birthday girl gets the first slice." As the family gathered around the table, Michael looked at each face. Carmen, who had moved back to Denver but visited Chicago every few weeks to check on him, not because she thought he was sick, but because she loved him. Diego, who had driven up from Florida for Elena's birthday and was planning to stay the weekend. McCullum, whose music had gotten more meaningful and deeper since their family crisis. Elena, who was painting again with joy instead of desperate worry. Zara, who had gotten her partnership at the law firm and called to share the good news. Even Patricia was there, sitting between Elena and McCullum, helping to coordinate the celebration like she had during their marriage. But there was one more person at the table who surprised everyone. Dr. Martinez had arrived just before dinner, bringing a small gift for Elena and a warm smile for the whole family. "I hope you don't mind me crashing the party," she said to Elena. "I wanted to meet the artist I've heard so much about." Dr. Martinez had become an unexpected friend to the family over the past few months. She had helped Carmen understand the psychology behind Michael's behavior. She had talked to McCullum about the relationship between creativity and emotional honesty. She had even written a letter of recommendation for Elena's art scholarship application. "Dr. Martinez suggested I do something special for your birthday," Michael said to Elena as they finished eating cake. "Something that celebrates our family instead of testing it." Elena looked curious. Michael stood up and walked to the hallway closet. He pulled out a large wrapped canvas and brought it back to the dining room. "This is the portrait you were working on when you thought I was sick," he said, placing it on the table. "You took it home, and I thought it was gone forever." Elena looked confused. "Dad, I still have that painting." "I know, but I asked you to paint another one." Michael carefully unwrapped the canvas, revealing a beautiful family portrait, but this one was different from the original. Instead of showing them gathered around Michael's sickbed, it showed them in his backyard during a summer barbecue, all of them laughing and relaxed. "I commissioned this from memory," Michael explained. "It shows us the way we actually are when we're together, not during a crisis, not during a test, but just being a family." Elena's eyes filled with tears, but they were happy tears this time. "I also did something else," Michael continued. "Dr. Martinez helped me understand that I tested your love because I didn't trust it, so I want to make sure you never have to worry about trusting mine." He pulled out a folder of papers. "I've set up college funds for any grandchildren I might have someday. I've established a foundation to help other families dealing with health crises, real ones, and I've written letters to each of you explaining why I love you and how proud I am of who you've become." Michael looked around the table. "I can't undo what I did. I can't take back the pain I caused or the trust I broke, but I can spend the rest of my life proving that I've learned from my mistake." Diego wiped his eyes. "Hermano, you don't have to prove anything anymore. We're here, aren't we?" "Because you choose to be here," Michael said. "Not because I tricked you or tested you, but because you choose to love me despite my flaws." Carmen reached over and squeezed his hand. "That's what family means, Michael. Choosing to love each other, especially when it's hard." As the evening wound down, Dr. Martinez pulled Michael aside. "How does it feel?" she asked. "Having your family together again?" "Scary," Michael admitted. "I keep waiting for someone to change their mind and leave. That's normal after what happened. Trust takes time to rebuild, both ways. You have to learn to trust their forgiveness, just like they had to learn to trust you again." She gathered her things to leave. "You know, I've been thinking about writing a paper about this whole experience, about how families can heal from deception and what real love looks like under pressure." Would you change our names? Dr. Martinez smiled. Of course, but I think your story could help other families who are struggling with trust and communication. After everyone had gone home or settled into guest rooms for the night, Michael sat alone in his living room with the new family portrait propped up against the couch. His phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Thank you for tonight, Dad. And thank you for learning how to be honest. I love you." Similar messages came from McCullum, Zara, and even Diego. "Good party, little brother. See you in the morning." Michael realized that this quiet contentment, this sense of being loved and accepted despite his failures, was what he had been searching for all along. He hadn't needed to test his family's love to find it. He had just needed to trust it. And now, finally he did. The house wasn't empty anymore, but not because it was full of people. It was full of love that didn't need to be proven or tested or earned through deception. It was simply there, like air or sunlight, essential, life-giving and real. 1 year had passed since Michael's deception, and his life looked completely different. Not because he had gotten sick or faced any real crisis, but because he had learned to live with honesty and trust instead of fear and loneliness. The biggest change was his house. Michael had sold the huge mansion and moved to a smaller home in a neighborhood full of families. This house had 4 bedrooms instead of 8, 1 kitchen instead of 2, and a cozy living room where everyone actually wanted to spend time. "Dad, the guest rooms are perfect," Elena said, dropping her suitcase in the room that had become hers during visits. "They feel like home, not like a fancy hotel." Elena was visiting for the weekend from college, where she was finishing her final year. Her art had grown deeper and more meaningful since the family crisis, and she had won several scholarships for her work about family and forgiveness. "The painting professor says my work has more emotion now," she had told Michael during one of their weekly phone calls. "I think going through something hard together made me understand people better." Michael had started calling each of his children every week, not to check up on them or because he was lonely, but because he genuinely wanted to know about their lives. The conversations were different now, more honest and connected. Carmen had moved to Chicago 6 months ago, but not to take care of Michael. She had gotten a job as a principal at a local elementary school and bought a house 10 minutes away from his. They had dinner together twice a week and talked almost daily, but as equals who enjoyed each other's company. "I like this version of my little brother much better," Carmen had told him recently. "You're not trying to be Michael Jordan the legend anymore, you're just being Michael." Diego visited regularly now, and their relationship was stronger than it had ever been. The crisis had forced them to deal with old resentments and jealousies, and coming through it together had created a bond based on understanding rather than just shared blood. "You know what I realized," Diego had said during his last visit. "I spent so many years being jealous of your success that I forgot to be proud of it. You're my little brother, and you accomplished amazing things. I should have been celebrating with you instead of resenting you." McCullum had not only gotten his recording contract, but had written an album inspired by his family's journey through deception and forgiveness. 3 of his songs had become hits, and he credited his family's crisis with helping him find his authentic voice as an artist. "The best art comes from real experience," he had told a music magazine interviewer. "Going through something difficult with people you love teaches you things you can't learn any other way." Zara had gotten her partnership at the law firm and was now specializing in family law, helping other families navigate difficult situations with honesty and communication. "What happened with our family made me realize how important trust is in relationships," she had explained to Michael. "I want to help other families before they get to the point where someone feels like they need to test love instead of trusting it." Even Patricia had become a closer friend. She had started dating someone new, and Michael was genuinely happy for her. Their relationship now was what it should have been all along. Two people who shared children and wanted the best for each other. But the most unexpected friendship had developed with Dr. Martinez. She had indeed written a paper about their family's experience, and it had been published in a psychology journal about family dynamics and healing from betrayal. "Your story is helping other families," she had told Michael. "Therapists are using it as an example of how love can survive even serious breaches of trust, as long as everyone is willing to do the work." Dr. Martinez had also helped Michael start volunteering at the local hospital, spending time with patients who were facing real health scares. It had become one of the most meaningful parts of his life. "You understand what it's like to be afraid," she had told him. "You can help others face that fear, whether it's fear of illness or fear of being alone." Michael had discovered that some of his loneliness had come from not having a purpose beyond basketball. Helping other people deal with health crises and family problems gave him a reason to get up each morning that had nothing to do with fame or money. On this particular Saturday afternoon, Michael was in his backyard setting up for a family barbecue. Not because anyone was sick or celebrating a crisis, but because it was a beautiful spring day and he wanted to spend time with the people he loved. McCullum arrived first with his girlfriend, a singer he had met at a recording studio. Elena came next with her art supplies, planning to work on a new painting while everyone relaxed. Zara brought her new boyfriend, a fellow lawyer who made her laugh more than Michael had ever seen. Carmen showed up with enough food to feed twice as many people, because that's who she was. Diego drove up from Florida with his wife and teenage son, Michael's nephew, who was becoming a talented basketball player himself. Even Patricia came with her new boyfriend, and Michael found himself genuinely liking the man who made his ex-wife happy. As everyone gathered in the backyard, Michael looked around at the scene. Kids were playing basketball on the court he'd had installed. Adults were laughing and talking in small groups. The smell of barbecue filled the air, and music played softly from McCullum's phone. "How are you feeling, Dad?" Elena asked, settling down next to him with her sketchpad. It was the same question she used to ask when she thought he was dying, but now it held a different meaning. She was asking about his heart, not his physical heart, but his emotional one. "I'm feeling loved," Michael answered. "Truly, deeply loved." "Good," Elena said, starting to sketch the family scene in front of them. "Because you are." Dr. Martinez arrived with her own family, her husband and two young children who immediately joined the basketball game. She had become not just Michael's doctor, but a family friend, someone who understood their journey and celebrated how far they'd come. "You know what I've learned from all this?" Michael asked her as they watched their families mingle. "What's that?" "I spent my whole career being afraid of losing games, losing championships, losing my reputation. But the only thing I was ever really afraid of losing was love. And it turned out that was the one thing I never had to worry about losing at all." Dr. Martinez smiled. "Love isn't a game to be won or lost, Michael. It's a gift to be received and given freely." As the afternoon turned to evening, Michael found himself in the kitchen cleaning dishes with Carmen, while everyone else continued enjoying the gathering outside. "Remember when you used to eat dinner alone in that big house?" Carmen asked, drying a plate. "I try not to think about that too much," Michael replied. "It feels like a different lifetime." "It was a different lifetime," Carmen said. "That was before you learned the difference between being alone and being lonely." Michael paused in his washing. "What do you mean?" "You can be alone without being lonely if you trust that you're loved," Carmen explained. "And you can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely if you don't believe that love is real." She put her hand on his shoulder. "Now you know the love is real, so being alone doesn't scare you anymore." Carmen was right. Michael still spent quiet evenings by himself sometimes, but they didn't feel empty anymore. He knew that his family was a phone call away, that they would come if he needed them, and that their love didn't depend on constant contact or dramatic crises. As the guests began to leave, each family member hugged Michael goodbye with genuine warmth and affection. No one was rushing away to more important things. No one seemed eager to escape. They were leaving because the day was ending, but they would be back soon because they wanted to be. Same time next month? McCullum asked as he packed up his guitar. Actually, Michael said, how about we just get together when we want to, instead of scheduling it? No pressure, no expectations, just whenever we feel like spending time together. I like that idea, Zara said. Much better than forced family time. After everyone had gone, Michael sat on his back porch with the new family portrait Elena had painted that day. This one showed all of them during the barbecue, natural, relaxed, and genuinely happy to be together. His phone buzzed with a text from Elena. Thanks for today, Dad. I love our new traditions. Similar messages came from the others. Great day, Hermano. Love you, Dad. See you soon. Michael realized that this quiet contentment, this sense of being connected without being needy, this trust in love that didn't require constant proof, was what he had been searching for all along. He had learned that love wasn't something to be tested, but something to be trusted. It wasn't something to be earned through deception, but something to be nurtured through honesty. It wasn't something to be hoarded out of fear, but something to be shared with generosity. Most importantly, he had learned that the people who loved him didn't love Michael Jordan, the basketball legend. They loved Michael, the father, brother, and friend, the man who made mistakes but learned from them, who felt lonely but reached out for connection in healthy ways, who had flaws but was willing to work on them. As Michael locked up his house and prepared for bed, he felt something he hadn't felt in years: complete peace. Not because his life was perfect, but because it was real. Not because he had proved anything to anyone, but because he had learned to trust the love that had been there all along. The last text of the evening came from Dr. Martinez. Thank you for letting me be part of your family's story. You've all taught me as much as I hope I've taught you. Michael smiled and typed back, thank you for helping us find our way back to each other. He turned off his phone and settled into bed in his cozy house, surrounded by the quiet sounds of a neighborhood full of families. Tomorrow would bring another day of genuine connections, honest conversations, and love that didn't need to be tested because it was strong enough to simply exist. For the first time in his adult life, Michael Jordan fell asleep, not as a legend or a celebrity, but as a man who was deeply loved and finally knew it. Michael's story shows us that the people who love us don't need tests to prove it. Love is about trust, not trick. Where are you listening from today? Drop your city or country in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button to help us spread more kindness around the world. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us what really matters in life. Ready for another amazing story? Click on the video appearing on your screen right now. Thank you for listening. And remember, the love in your life doesn't need to be tested. It just needs to be trusted.